Hello and welcome to Richard's Reviews. My Pagani designed Daytona arrived 3 weeks ago today, and I wanted to give you my initial impressions and also some interesting information about the watch itself. My first video on the Pagani design was an unboxing video, and I've put the link in the description below. So why did I buy the Pagani designed Daytona? Well, I've never owned a chronograph before, and the reviews on YouTube seemed very favourable. I looked at the specification list and went on to Aliexpress. I've put a link in the description below of where I ordered it from, as well as the Pagani design webpage, which is on Alibaba. Also, I've linked in there the manufacturer as well. I paid £55 for the watch on AliExpress, and the watch arrived in around about 2 weeks, so no complaints about that. The information that I was provided was very helpful, and the watch arrived just on time. Since purchasing this watch, I found that it has become my go-to watch. There are a number of reasons for this. Firstly, the Mecha Quartz movement is always ready to go, so there's no resetting it every day. Secondly, it's extremely comfortable on my small wrist, and this watch size is a perfect watch for me. I find it extremely comfortable. Lastly, it's also a very good looking watch, and because of its looks, I'm drawn to it. It is an interesting watch to look at, and its looks do not actually reflect the price that I actually paid for it. I'm going to put the Pagani design specification list on the screen for you to look at. One curious fact is to do with the water resistance of this watch. If you look at the website, it says that it is water resistant to 3 bar, which is equivalent to 30 meters. Where actually, if you look at the screw down back, it says it's water resistant to 100 meters. So which is it? 100 meters or 30 meters? Well, your guess is as good as mine. But I do know that this factory do actually water pressure test their watches before they leave the factory. So one would assume that it is being tested to at least 30 meters. But that would then beg the question as to why it would say 100 meters on the back of the watch. Well, I did my own test earlier, and I'm very pleased to say that the watch is still going. It's worth saying something about the movement in this watch. The watch face says that it's a Japanese movement, and indeed this is correct. It is a Seiko VK63 movement. This is a Mecha Quartz movement, and a Mecha Quartz movement is a movement made of 2 parts. On the one side it has a quartz movement which is driven by a battery, but this is connected to a secondary set of gears which are mechanical. So the pushers on the side of the watch operate the mechanical function. This gives a very satisfying feel to the watch. And because it is a Mecha Quartz movement, there are a number of other potential benefits to the user. Firstly, you don't have to wind it up or indeed move it around as an automatic watch. Secondly, because it's a Mecha Quartz, the movement is actually slightly thinner, and so therefore the watch can be slightly thinner. Next benefit is the servicing. Servicing of this watch will be relatively modest and fairly straightforward compared to a mechanical chronograph, which are generally a lot more expensive to service. Also, there's a question of its durability. This movement should be extremely durable, and with a mechanical movement one has to take some care about how you use it. Now let's look at the quality of this watch. Having looked at this watch and studied it in some detail through a magnifying glass, I can actually say that I've found no faults whatsoever with the watch movement. which is extremely good and top marks to the Chinese quality control. However, there are a couple of niggles that I would like to just express. Firstly, the stainless steel band. It's extremely good quality. It's 316L stainless steel, a milled clasp, and it has solid end links. However, the clasp itself has some rather sharp edges to it. I have considered whether to get a file out on this. Secondly, the leather strap. The leather strap is of reasonable quality and actually very comfortable, but the buckle that it came with is extremely cheap. Indeed, it's one of the cheapest buckles I've ever seen, and it's a shame really. I'm going to replace the buckle, but I would have thought that they could have spent a few pence extra and put something a little bit more suitable on. So who would buy this watch? I think we could identify three categories. Firstly, the person seeking value and quality, and both of these are outstanding. The quality is outstanding, the value is unbelievable. You're buying an extremely good quality watch. Indeed, I would probably say the best quality watch I've ever seen at this price. Secondly, the person who wants to get into chronographs. This is an excellent starting point. It's an extremely competent watch. I think thirdly, the one watch guy might also be interested in this. You can put a leather strap on it, wear it for work or going out. The steel strap is suitable for sports purposes and as a beta watch, as I did today, washing the car. So those are certainly some people who may want to look at this watch. Who shouldn't look at this watch? Well, I think the guy who's trying to trick people into thinking he's rich. After all, at the end of the day, this is a £55 watch, and probably on the kudos score, it isn't going to score any great prizes. I think my final impressions can be summed up by asking that question that we started with. How can they do this for £55? A watch of this quality, this value, and a seriously good looking watch as well. What are your impressions? Have you bought one of these watches? Did you buy it from China? What was your experience like? Please feel free to share your comments. And also, it would really help me if you would press that like button and subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.